you've been principal for what? How long now?
4 years here. My assistant principal was our counselor, and see, he had the training, so together we were like a very strong leadership team.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had the training in the MAPS and intelligent behaviors.
Before, at Friendship Valley, I remember
Yeah, we
you as a
opened up the
counselor
school
there.
together.
So when you came to this school, because of your success with intelligent behaviors, habits of mind at Friendship Valley, and then the thinking maps, were you initially thinking, how will I try to bring this into this school? What was your thinking back then?
Well, the first thing I did
that.
was I looked at the data, and I wanted to see what were the needs of the school.
Mm-hmm.
So, you do a survey, you look at the data and find out what are the strengths and what are the areas of need.
Mm-hmm.
And in this school, the greatest area of need was writing, because the scores had dropped over 15%
Mm-hmm.
in the 2 years prior to my coming here. And I told the staff, I said, the most important thing we need to do is just to stop this downward trend immediately. And then we've got to turn it around. And the first thing we need to do is we need to look at what strategies are out there that are very successful. And I can tell you from experience that thinking maps made a huge difference at Friendship Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when we started working with the maps, because the data indicated that we really needed to improve in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And so immediately, the very first year, we not only regained we stopped the downward trend and increased our scores more than 15% in 1 year
Mm-hmm.
for our exiting fifth graders, and then they've improved
Mm-hmm.
since then. And since then, also, it's interesting that scores went up in social studies without having a major initiative in that area, because the curriculum hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
And to the point that this year we are the highest performing school overall in all our scores.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're looking at reading comprehension, just trying to tackle that, because we want to improve in that area also.
Mm-hmm. When you were working with faculty, did you ever use the maps to think about the direction of the school?
You mean for leadership purposes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or did you use them internally, or both, or?
Both. I mean, internally, and then sometimes on chart form when you're planning, because you look at your school improvement plan and how can you improve that.
Mm-hmm.
What are short-term goals, long-term goals? What would be the cause effect? So you get into the multi-flow of all that. We began training on the thinking maps almost immediately.
And then it
because
evolved
was so
right out of
evident.
that. Yeah.
Everybody was so unified in wanting to improve the scores in writing that we worked on it with all our effort.
And then it came out, then you started using them in decision making in the school.
Yes. I think you do it a lot informally too, when I meet with teams and we find out what's going well or what areas are there's some problems in, and I take notes. I take my notes in thinking map format, my own personal notes, and I just find it's a lot more meaningful than if I take linear notes. And so that really just helps me if I'm going to a presentation. And for instance, I just went to one with Scott Paris. I mean, I immediately went into a tree map with all the different topics he's been talking about. But I mean, it's just how I organize my thoughts. They help you make connections. And so I just think you can loop, like on a tree map, you can make connecting loops along the bottom and see, oh, this piece connects to that piece, and you can see that, and that can lead into a multi-flow, like, oh, well, that caused that, but what were all the causes, and what could be the possible effects, the long-term effects of these decisions. So I think like that. I mean, I don't always have a paper and pencil with me, but I think of long-term effects of decisions that have to be made almost daily. And so, yeah, they really help with that.
Do you think the staff is moving along and they're thinking in that kind of way? Because oftentimes they're focused, they're focused on really working with the students on a day-to-day basis.
All different levels. I mean, as you can see, we have, because of the growth, we have so many new teachers. We have about 8 non-tenured teachers, and then we have, we have a large staff, 72 full staff. And so the range is from people who are non-tenured to teachers who are beyond retirement and still working because they're loving it and excited about teaching. So when you've got this range, it makes for lots of diverse thinking. Some people are working on their degrees, And they're looking for how can they use the maps in their research designs, all the way to the new teachers that are requiring more training. So
it was great to be in some of the teachers of just a few years and how they've really internalized the maps so quickly.
Isn't it wonderful?
It's very exciting to see.
And see, I think one interesting thing about the maps is that not only do we have a large number of new teachers because of growth, but we have the greatest amount of growth in our county. It's a sudden burst of growth. So because of that, we're way over capacity now, but because of that, we have to bring our children along. Our scores, you would not think that our scores would be this high with so many children coming in, because we have to bring them along, but we can and we do. So I know some principals ask, well, you know, if you do the thinking maps and people move in from another area, how do you catch them up on all they've lost for all the years? But you just really can, because it's how you do things, and it's every subject and every child, you know, they just learn from each other, and we do training with our reading specialists as children need it and require it, and also teachers do too. She provides help to those children. Generally, teachers do give them a little bit extra help. We do have the community license, so the children can take the disc home and let it at home, and parents can work on it together with them too. So it's not a problem. I think it helps. I think the maps help to unify our community in a time where we're going through enormous change. I mean, we try to find things that are offering us continuity, and to maintain the community spirit and tradition. And it's helping to provide something that's holding us together as we're being pulled apart and spread wider and wider in our values and beliefs. We keep coming back to the maps, to thinking, to wanting to do well in school, and that's what we're about. I think my passion has always been to improve reading comprehension. And so as I've studied that and researched it, it seems there has been a void, and which is why the NAEP scores have shown minimal improvement over 25 years in grade 4. I've always been intrigued with that, and what can we do to improve reading comprehension? And I think we're finding now that that there may be a way that we can use these maps to help provide direct reading instruction during reading as children's eyes meet the text. We never quite addressed that other than to teach them fix-up strategies. We didn't know how to teach them and provide the direct instruction as their eyes would meet the text. And we can see that the maps are a way that we can get inside their thinking and provide them structure and support, so that to help them make meaning as they're reading, not wait till afterwards. And so I'm very excited about that.
Now, another one of those unifiers is habits of mind, and you've had a lot of experience with bringing that into classrooms at Friendship Valley and then here. So, what's that connection between habits and the thinking maps?
Well, you heard it coming out today.
Yeah,
the children,
it's
just they are. It's just part of how. It's a value system. It's just a value system for them. They know they need to manage their. I mean, even in the office, if I need to talk to children, we talk about, well, what habit of mind do you need to work on a little bit more? Do you need to manage your impulsivity? Do you need to be more persistent? And so it's they're directly connected, and the children see that. You heard today coming up with, we need to be responsible risk takers, you know, in our thinking and in our reading, and yeah.
So the habits and the thinking maps are working together. They're not something that's, you know, here are the set of habits over here, and here's a set of maps over here. They really work together.
They really support one another.
And has the faculty taken on habits of mind as a language? Is it sort of a set of habits for the faculty working together?
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, sometimes we joke about it. I mean, sometimes like we'll have meetings in the summertime. We try to have them in the butterfly garden, and we try to make it more jovial. And but somebody will blurt out something inappropriately or whatever, and somebody will say, oh, "I didn't manage my impulsivity." You know, we all just joke, and but it is part of just how we do things around here. And
so it does pop up in a way, but it isn't used in kind of a formal way. It's more an informal
Right.
understanding.
I mean, we just always say check for accuracy. I need to check for accuracy. I'm always looking for ways to control rumors in our parent community, and I always tell my parents check for accuracy. It's in my newsletters. If you hear a rumor, check for accuracy. Call me. Double check. And so I'm trying to get it out there. It is in my newsletter monthly, and we make it something that is seasonal and colorful, and it goes right on the refrigerator. They can take the new one off for this month and put it on the refrigerator, so that language is supported at home also.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas about how maybe the habits of mind and the thinking maps have facilitated just conversation and efforts that you have? I know that part of what you try to do is to create a positive, safe environment for people to have conversations and roundtable discussions. Do you see any kind of link to that? Because that does seem to be a key.
Well, the whole school language has made a huge difference, because before this I felt like you could think of each grade as a different pinball machine, and the children were the little ball, and they're just going like this, and you flip them and they're in a new grade level and they come down again, because each one of the little bumpers is a teacher who's gone to a different college and learned her own strategies and teaching writing a little bit different way, and the child does it this way this year, and then they're into the next year, and we do things differently this way, because every strategy is a little different, every college education is a little different, and the poor children didn't have this direct line of thinking. Now we're trying to do client alignment all the way K through 12. Well, we couldn't even do a K through 5 because there was very minimal unity. And how do you teach reading and how do you teach writing? Well, on all the subjects and thinking. And so now we have whole school language, and so from kindergarten all the way up, the children know this is how I do things. So each year they're not starting new with a new teacher's different strategies of how do I accomplish this goal. Each teacher builds on it, so that when the time the children get to 5th grade, as you saw today, they're really really going beyond anything that we imagined that they could do to make meaning and stretch thought to abstract levels of understanding.
And then it's exciting. Oh, go ahead.
No,
I mean, it's also just exciting to see it really flourishing here with some of the folks with mathematics, which is intriguing.
With the brace math.
Yeah,
yes.
and a lot of different maps. It's just amazing to...
But to build that culture of risk takers, for you to be able to present an idea and see teachers just run with it and say, well, it's just the thinking maps are a story because I'm going to use it to make meaning in my classroom in this way. And the needs of my children are in math especially, or it's in reading or writing, and teachers take it to the full degree that I think its capabilities are, or we might not know the full capabilities at this point. They keep pushing the line a little bit further, but
it's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, thanks.